It's just me and Sean today.
Psych!
Oh!
It's your boy!
Yeah!
What is
go.
It's
Yay!
your boy GM.
Oh my god.
Look at New Hampshire.
Hold on.
Whoa.
Tuck 'em in.
Oh, who just joined? Hello, friends.
What's crack?
Oh, Emily Albertini's in there. I saw you at Armando's the other night. Emily, what's up? This is awesome.
Wow.
I got one
It's
person.
Monday.
All
You're
right.
not even in your own video. Do you want to do it horizontally?
Hold on. There we go.
There it is.
There he is.
So,
All right. Well, before we get started, let's just do what we all know I'm going to do. All right.
Yeah!
I'm going to be honest. It was the most boring Super Bowl I've ever watched. Super
Really?
anticlimactic, but none of that matters because TV12 has 6 of them. And let's just really let's just really honor that greatness because
go football!
that man literally sacrifices his entire life for the game.
That's right.
And now is the greatest of all
He's like
time. And if anyone wants to argue it,
Coolest underdog ever. Like, that's such an underdog story.
dude, he showed up to the NFL. It just looked like this, like, sickly,
String
like,
bean.
yeah, like, just, you're not a football player. And then he just turned into, like, the sexiest human alive, has the sexiest wife. And just
Do you
wants
think he'd come on Wild Hearts?
Definitely.
Anyone have connections with Mr. Tom Brady?
Actually,
yeah, just, you know,
Oh, well, I was like, wait, I was like, whoa, I was, like, really surprised.
shoot him a massage.
I'm a massage.
And
Do
then-
you want to give him a massage and maybe I'll come on? That's the key to success.
Maybe.
You're like, Giselle, listen, I'm just going to give him a massage.
just one
Don't
day.
worry
Work
about
my
it.
magic.
Yeah, just don't even worry about it. Oh my God. It's
yeah,
Monday. It's
so
Wild
that's
Hearts.
that. Monday.
Monday.
That's a noise.
Good morning.
Oh,
Good morning.
hi,
How is
Maureen.
everyone doing? I feel like there was another important announcement. Yeah,
Then I'm
Oh,
gonna buy
yeah.
a t-shirt.
that's important. No, that's not it because it's irrelevant. 'cause it's not here.
Oh, we're all wearing ripped
There was
jeans.
some, that's what it was.
Yeah!
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at
Oh, we saw.
that.
Who are we right now?
That's
Hilarious.
hilarious.
That was the
Oh
important
my gosh.
announcement, guys, just so you know.
That one's for Rico because I know he always likes to point out the Rico.
Okay, there you go,
jeans,
Rico.
so.
I wonder if you got your shirt yet, because there was some
Oh,
other
yeah.
lady that did in Florida, but I haven't heard anything, so I hope you did,
I'm
Rico.
sure they're still on sale. Did we
And
mention that?
go Tiger Woods.
Yeah, Red Sox.
Red Sox, that's right.
All right, let's get this party started. Woo. So we'll just, for your people, we'll just kind of like introduce ourselves a little bit, and then we'll get flown into your story. Who you are. So I'm Michaela, co-host of Wild Hearts podcast. I am a photographer. My business is Michaela Jean Photography. I specialize in couples, intimate, like weddings. I do a lot of work with women and empowerment workshops in the vulnerability field, and I am in the process of opening up a photography studio and collaborative community workspace with my friend and business partner Katie. The name of this business is Maple and Moon Creative. Find us on Instagram if you want to follow along, and we are in the Mill building in downtown Dover, so look out for us.
Yeah.
Hi.
Woo!
Wow, that's tough to follow, but
yes.
I'm gonna do my best. Hello, everyone. My name is Sean Adam of Up and Adam Inspirational Speaking, also co-host of Wild Hats. Wild Hats. I'm from Boston here. Wild Hats podcast here. And so really all of my work is centered around my own personal journey with mental health struggles. It's in the family. We got the addiction stuff going on, and I just really struggled and was so ashamed of it for so long, and really just wanted to create this space where it's normal, because whether you're admitted or not, you probably got some mental health issues, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to create this space where people didn't think they were less than, because in my eyes we're all equal, and I really wanted to work to break the stigma. So my inspirational speaking is surrounded by that. This podcast, like inspiring people, is all about that. And on the docket for this year, got a book project that I was a part of. Book that'll be coming out. It's called Guts, Grit, the Grind, the Mental Fitness Manual, and it's myself and 35 other men that share their stories of their own personal struggles with mental illness, and just give kind of tips, tools, and stuff that they've used to find balance and recovery in their life. And I actually talked to a gentleman the other day that talked about like 30 years ago, it was you entered like treatment and there was no exit door. And now there's a new paradigm shift where like you might be able to find the exit door in mental health. Like you're not stuck with that the rest of your life. And I really want to perpetuate that out into the world.
You can heal yourself.
Dang.
Boom! That's who I am.
Dang.
Shoot.
Dang.
Dang.
That was good.
Thanks, bro.
Hi,
I'm
everyone.
gonna give you a high five.
Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. Oh, wait, that was worse.
Look at the elbow. Look at the elbow. You're supposed to look at the elbow. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Look at your elbow.
Oh, is that it? Is that how you do it?
Oh,
Oh, that worked really well. Wow.
That was the
I
sound.
didn't know what you were doing, but that actually worked really well. Okay, anyway.
Ooh.
We're taking it away. So, Anthony,
right.
tell them who you are, man.
Tell the people
Oh,
who you
man.
are.
I'm Anthony. And I'm human.
Yeah!
Yeah. No.
And that's the end. So
That's
have a
it.
good day.
I'm
No,
an alien.
I'm a co-owner of LEB Dance Studio, co-founder of Endless Focus, but most importantly, I'm a dance instructor. And that's what I do. I teach the children how to move
Boogie.
and groove, but also live kindly, I should say.
Okay, and how old are you?
I'm 24.
No big
Cruising.
deal.
Where are you going?
Yeah, that's it.
Awesome, man. Well, why don't we just get right into it? So, Anthony's a really cool dude, ton of positive energy. But tell us about your story and how you got here and like where it
Let's
all
tell the
started.
people where we met you first, because that's kind of cool.
Oh, I
we
forgot
met.
about that.
Yeah, we met you at. We both met you at TED Talks.
TED Talks.
TEDx
You
Fortnite.
did like the opening dance, right?
Yeah, so it was
We were
pretty
like,
cool.
he's cool.
Yeah, I was offered to perform with a student's mom. She asked me, she's like, hey, I'm doing whatever, I'm going to audition to whatever, open up for TEDx.
Yeah.
She goes, I'm going to sing, and I want someone to dance live, and I pictured you. So she wanted to do old school and new school. So I represented the new school. She was singing like the old school, Sam Cooke's A Change Is Gonna Come or something like that.
Mhm.
I was like, heck yeah, TEDx!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't have to ask me twice.
Yeah,
I was
Right?
like, So yeah, I did that, and that was fun.
Crushed it.
And
And
I'm-
you in the parking lot?
Yeah, no, I hunted you down. Like
That was
literally, I
so
saw you like a mile away. I was like, you, like zeroed in on it. I was like, hi, I'm Sean. How's it going? Hi, I like your dancing. It's so fun. Cool. Bye.
I was over here like string bean Bounphakom. He's over here like, yo, it's Sean
Yeah,
Adams.
that's up.
Yeah, maybe.
And
Dude,
then
that's
Michaela,
Yeah.
we were going on like, or so, if you
Miles
guys
took
know,
us on a field
yeah,
trip.
Miles was like, hey, you want to go take this dope shot across the street
On top of the
on
building.
top of the building?
Through the window.
I was like, yeah, you don't have to ask me twice. And then Michaela was there, and we were just like, oh, hey,
Oh
Michaela.
my gosh.
like snooping through like buildings.
Right, and we were going through the building, and we were just like having to be quiet. We're just like, what is this place? And Miles goes, you don't have to know what this place is.
Yeah.
Oh my
Remember, he's
god,
just like, you
dude.
just gotta go for it.
Do it for the shot.
That's what he
Do it for the shot.
said.
Do it for
I
the
love
shot.
that mentality.
Yeah.
For sure.
Do it
If
for
I'm
the
doing anything where it says like do not enter, I'm just gonna be like I'm doing it for the shot.
He
Even
doesn't
if I'm
have
not
a
doing it
camera.
for the shot. What reminds me of a time I was so I used to live on Badger Island in Kittery, and there's like some seafood restaurant, and there were like these docks on the other side, and it said no trespassing, but it was like midnight, and I'm like, yo, bro, the stripers are running in the river, like. So
Gotta get
do it for the shot, dude.
Do it
I
for the
shot. I remember catching a striper and holding
Do it
her
for
right in
dinner.
front of this guy.
That's great.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway.
Wow.
For
Well,
sure.
that is where we all met each
Yes.
other on a very exciting day.
It's such funny adventures too.
So much.
It wasn't like, oh, greetings, how are you?
Oh yeah.
Greetings,
no,
Airplanes.
no.
Greetings. It's more like adventure.
That wouldn't be like based on like just the dynamic right now. That's
Yeah,
not how it
so-
would have happened. Like, could you imagine? Like,
Wow.
oh, hello, Wilson.
Great.
Great to meet you.
Nice.
No, it's like
Hi.
We're also not British, so.
sometimes we can do it. I want super British roll.
Oh my god, I'm literally doing the same thing as her.
They keep copying me.
Why am I not grandma? Is there something wrong?
Dude, we both did
It
this
was
then.
so beautiful.
Oh, my
All right,
Okay.
we've entertained you enough
yes.
for now.
Great beginning.
Good morning.
Let's good welcome for real. Let's really dive into your story. Where
Yeah.
did it all begin?
Well, let's go back in time.
Mhm.
Way back.
Okay.
So, we're going 88 miles per hour back in time. Now, I was like a pure fetus. And I remember like, hey, I was a spoiled child. My parents would give me all this stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, this is great. Then parents had a divorce, and I remember that was a huge thing. I was like, all right, shoot, now what? You know, a kid that relies on his parents all the time. And then I remember in middle school, I found dance. The way I found dance was actually because I was trying to impress a girl.
Yeah.
But I ended up falling in love with dance. Never even got the girl. But anyway.
Way better story.
Yeah,
Right.
so cool.
But ever since, I think I was 13 at the time, I was just like, I'm going to do something with dance. I don't know if it's like, I don't know what it is. All I know is I'm going to do something with dance. Then I started teaching when I was 18. And I remember being like, damn, I don't like dance as much as I thought. I love teaching more than anything. So then from then on, I realized dance was the vehicle, teaching was the passion. Cool. So from then on, it was just like developing my purpose and like what is the meaning of life, right? And honestly, for me, I really think I found it. And I think it's just love, you know. So that everything I do is love, whether it's like the people I meet, the things I do, the projects I do, the coffee I drink, right? Yeah, everything.
I love you, coffee.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Powerful.
I actually got 2 coffees.
Oh, wow. Thank you for doing that. That was awesome.
I love you. Well, I think that's such a. So we got coffee with Anthony last week, and the first he literally comes in, he's like, so I got to tell you about this experiment that I just like learned about, like the water thing, and I think that's just so speaks so much to your like how you kind of live your life.
Right. Well, so yeah, this water thing, this water experience. If you guys don't know about it, I really got to research what his name was. But there's a doctor or whatever, this research science guy, right? He.
If anyone knows it, type it in.
Yeah. If you know this guy, what I know is he has I think it was like, he pulled water from one source, and he thought of these things to these waters. One was thank you, one was holy water, one was distilled water, one was like, I don't know, I love you, and the other one's like, I hate your guts, I'm gonna fucking kill you, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know how long, but after that he looked into a microscope, and the molecules change. And I legit was just like mind blown by the pictures, but they were saying how it was just pure thought of just like your subconscious or whatever, but energy, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was crazy to be like, holy crap, like he changed water. And we're 70% water, so just good thought changed something from outside of you. Imagine what that person would have said if they were like, oh, I hate you, or I hate myself. Like imagine what your body would like look under a microscope. It'd probably be like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, we all do that, right?
Yeah.
Like we all look in the mirror sometimes and we're like, wow, you look like absolute crap right now.
Right. And I think that's crazy because, again, like, I honestly think it's society, right? Society puts this standard, like you have to meet this standard, but we can't look at something and be like, oh man, that's not, you know, like for example, you'll get a wrong coffee, and the first thing we do, we sit, like, oh, what the is this? You know, we're just like really angry. But it's just like, instead of that, like, oh, that's not what I wanted, but still good. Yeah. Imagine if you took it the way it was. That's how we should look at life. But again, society teaches us to do that. So I think what ends up happening, we apply that same coffee technique to ourselves. You like want to look like somebody, like, for example, for me, for the longest time, it was Zac Efron. I mean, I'm Asian. There's no way I'll ever look like Zac Efron. So I look in the mirror and I'm just like, bro, it's basically the coffee. Oh, that's not the coffee that I wanted. I used to be like, excuse me, can I get more of this? You know, like, excuse me, more pumpkin, please. Okay. But now it's like, that's not me, but I love what I am now. Like, I'm going to drink this coffee and be like, this is good, bro. You know?
Well, I mean, that's the journey. Right? Is learning about that. And I think just talking about the water thing is like, I don't think all the time either, like, we're saying it out loud. But I think some people, or I think a lot of people don't realize this is you on average in one 24-hour day have roughly 60,000 thoughts.
Holy crap.
That's wild.
60,000.
My mind's being blown right now.
So
Keep going.
So with that being
Why do
said,
we all need a meditation practice?
if you're not aware of what's being said in your mind and you're just kind of going through and not noticing it, you could be saying like, you suck, I hate you all day. And like, I can just raise my hand as like, when I began this process of kind of awakening and consciousness and awareness, I mean, I was an asshole to myself. Like, the stuff I said to myself, I wouldn't ever dream of saying to people. And I think that's why I was so outwardly nice, because like of how mean I was to myself and like how much that hurt. So it's like, we have the capability, like you have so much more power than you think. And like, just talking about this water thing, if even like, let's say you have 60,000 and like right now 20,000 of those are negative, like if you even begin to like cut that back to 10,000 and like work your way back, like if you're conscious and intentional and slow down about each thought, and you can't control them because they arise, like but the meditation practice allows you to not attach to them and just let them float by like clouds.
And take that breath before the thought even like becomes the reality too. It's like, did I really mean that about myself? Like, what could I replace that negative thought with? To make it more positive.
And like you said, it's a conditioned response by society. Because like I even caught myself the other day, like, I mean, I made like the most simple mistake, and I was just like, oh well, that was stupid. And then I was like, and I caught myself. I was like, wait a minute, no, it wasn't. I made a mistake, dude. Like, relax,
chill out.
Yeah. So I mean, that's huge. Now, what's cool about us talking about these things is that you're a 24-year-old guy. You're not teaching. What age groups do you do?
I teach from 2 years old all the way to like, I think my oldest student, I don't teach them now, was 84 or 85.
Okay. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Wow.
But like, talk about being able to like give them this wisdom, because like you're young, and I'm impressed by like the wealth of knowledge you have, and obviously I can tell you're very curious and want to learn more.
Yeah,
like I see myself in you, but like, talk about sharing that with people, because as you said, like your passion is teaching and helping people get better, and these things are like the principles people need to.
Well, first off, the age groups definitely is super hard. Like you can tell a 2-year-old like, being good is the best thing ever, and he's like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
You take an 86-year-old, they're probably like, I'm too busy, Mom. I've heard that 1,000 times, kid. You know. Yeah. So it's, I've said this to you guys before. I said it's not about saying one thing, or sorry, it's not. For example, that is a cup of coffee. Okay. How else would you explain it without using a cup of coffee? It's kind of like a taboo game, right? It's a container with liquids in it, with an open container, or it's is that like ceramic?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Ceramic molded into a cylinder, right? Okay. So I have to understand how to say those things in all those different, or say the word love and positivity and all that, like good message stuff, in so many different ways, because not only you have to worry about age, you have to worry about specific people. Mm-hmm. So what's cool, it's taught me to connect with a lot more people, which is awesome, because like, we all deal with this. When someone comes off and they say something different, where you're either like thrown back by it or kind of like offended or defensive, it all comes back from love. So you have to like understand how to break it down. Mm-hmm. So teaching these children and whatever, to these adults have taught me that. So when I hear a negative situation, it's no longer like, oh, what the, are you kidding me right now? It's more like, oh, dang, that's an interesting perspective, and then I'll break it down.
Break it down. Talk about how you break it down, because honestly, like, that was so cool for me. Yeah. I was like,
so I love this example, because we're drinking coffee. So coffee, right? So have you ever had a day where you forgot your coffee, and you're just like, dang it, I forgot my coffee. Now you're mad. Here's the problem. In society, we don't know how to process that. So what you're supposed to do is go, why are you mad that you want coffee? Because it tastes good. But like, why do you want something that tastes good? Because I want to drink something. Why do you need to drink something? Because I need to hydrate. Why do you need to hydrate? Because I have to survive. Why do you want to survive? Because you love yourself.
Oh.
So it's like we're so busy worrying about like the pumpkin spice and all that that we forget about the purpose of why we do our things. Whether it's everyday life, even dance. Like I've got children. I was like,
what just happened?
Keep going.
It's like even in children, it's tough for them. That was so weird. Just so everyone knows, my live stream just like
his phone
just exploded.
Just kidding. Kind of like the Super Bowl show last night.
No. All right, we're back on that.
What was I saying? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what did I say?
We were
We're talking about breaking down. Like,
breaking down. So just even in dance, like children forget, like they're so hard on themselves, and I kind of like, actually it goes to everyone, even adults. Like I'll be teaching them, and they're always just like, oh no, I don't dance, give me a couple drinks and stuff, and I was like, whoa, like, well, I get that you want a couple drinks, like shut up, like alcohol, like that's cool too, but I'm not saying like don't let that run your life, right? And the problem is because people look at dance so mechanically. Like imagine looking at your iPhone and not thinking, oh, it's a iPhone. You think, oh, according to the RAM gigabytes and the little gear on the left there and the wire in the middle, and that's exactly what people look at dance. So the problem is they get so wrapped up in the mechanics of it. Even like not going back on the children, they get mad at themselves because they don't understand it. I'm just like, why do we dance? Because we literally just want to express ourselves and have fun. So for me, when I see a kid like who's unrhythmic but throwing their body, I'm literally shouting them out because I'm just like, I love what you're spitting out right there. Yeah. And then now going back on these adults are trapping themselves, like because I think it's I don't know, like everyone's like, oh, this is why I say I want to be Peter Pan for the rest of my life, because everyone's so obsessed with like, oh, I'm an adult now, so I have to behave a certain way. Right? So it's like great, but sorry, but that sounds boring, like why do you want to just like not dance anymore and throw your body like that child? Like I'm gonna be on the ground with that child, like throwing my body around, like, get up, because they're the part where it's just they've been less impacted by society than we are,
Well, I think a lot of it is like there's so many things I want to try and say right now. Is like we get caught up in this. We're millennials. We're in the age of instant gratification. I know for the longest time, like if I didn't know how to do it in 5 seconds, I was like, I suck at this. I'm not doing it. But real simply, like go back to being a kid. You probably fell 20,000 times trying to learn how to walk. You weren't ever gonna stop until you learned how to do it. But it's just this like I think because of the pace of life has sped up so much in my lifetime, even just my lifetime, that like it has sped up our brain processing. So it's like this element of like if it's not done now, like I can't do it. Whereas like if you do take it in bite-sized chunks and just slow down, like dancing, for example, like I started out dancing in Portsmouth, I just get hammered and go like I had no idea what I was doing, just go like dance on the dance floor, and then eventually it got to the point I was like, I just love this. I'm like, why do I need to drink to do it? I'm not. I'm gonna just get in there and do my thing. Bad timing, Dad. Anyway, so it just became this process of like I found a passion. I just like learned how to move. I didn't care like about being good or bad, and like
you felt
I just started to feel the music, and now like I would say I'm a pretty decent dancer, and like feel like, oh my god, like, and they get all intimidated, but it's so this is the final thing I want to start was like ego traps. If we get caught in this like I'm worried about what other people think, or I'm worried about I'm not good enough for this or that, you're creating a limitation. If you can like erase the ego, and that doesn't apply to dance, it applies to anything in life, right? Like this podcast, like it didn't have to be the most perfect equipment, video quality. It still is not, like we just one day, Michaela called me and was like, we're doing this. It's starting right now. We're doing it. I'm like, yeah, right. And there's no ego in it. It's just like we're just doing it and we're having fun, and it's gonna like transform into what it's gonna transform into. But we put, as anyone does, it's an ego trap. Like you limit yourself by like it's got to be a certain way.
Right. And another word for ego trap too, I think it's like your emotions, right? I feel like folks like us, I mean, again, we still have issues in our lives, so we're not 100% perfect. Like that for me, that I don't know, maybe it's food or something. You know, there's still an issue, so we're not perfect. But I'm saying if we're already, I guess for the lack of a better word, woke enough that we can control those things a lot more. And if we can teach our children and just teach our friends and teach our people to understand, like, and this goes back to our conversation in the coffee shop, don't let the system play you, play the system. You know, like, you can keep hooting and hollering and be like, oh, the system's wrong, but here's the problem, the system's never going to change because it's there's too much already, you know. So the best thing you can do is change the system from inside and rewire it. Then that also goes back to your confidence in all the things we were talking about earlier. You actually have to rewire your brain to be like, why did I say that? Why did I hate myself so much for that? So it just takes time, and like, it's about the in game, not the out game.
Oh,
you know?
I feel like
Damn, low-key sound like the Avengers.
yeah, those
Yeah.
legit.
That's
legit.
That's
Check that out, guys.
I want to see that
Sponsorship.
not gonna lie.
Just kidding.
Yeah, Avengers sponsors.
Well, I think so. Let's go back for a second,
Yeah,
because you started to go to college, right?
Yeah.
Like, what was like your intention when you like maybe you didn't even have like necessarily an intention, but maybe it's what you thought you were supposed to do, or like, because you talk us through that, starting to go to college and then starting to teach.
Yeah, so college was interesting. I mean, it was community college, so I've never experienced the college life, right? But to be honest, I'm glad. I'm glad I didn't. And a lot of people are just like, oh, it's because you never experienced it. But when I was going, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's other people that go to college and again play the system, right? But for me, I was being played by the system. It was typical. Like, your parents are like, hey, I want you to do this, you know, so you can get this. Do it. So for me, I was just like, shoot, like I'm living on my parents, still do. Shut up, Mom. No kidding. But they were just like, I want you to go to college, and I want you to make money off this degree, and then do whatever you want. But I was just like, bro, I want that now. So I guess, like, the system also spoke in that terms. I want it instantly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I played it a little bit instead of using it on just like incorrect things that you want now. So it's balanced, right? But for example, I want my Amazon package right now. I feel like that's a bad way of using that way that the system has taught you, or society has taught you. And instant gratification, right? Mm-hmm. I think for instant gratification, it should be more striving, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, I took it as a like, no, I want my dreams now. But it took me a year and a half to figure it out. So I was a year and a half in community college and being like, dude, I'm low-key just fighting with my teacher because I don't believe in what she's teaching, because all she wants is to put me in a number. Like, oh, you got to get 100. And I remember one time she wanted me to present, and she was like, it's like she maybe it was in her curriculum or whatever, so my bad. But even if it was or it wasn't, the point was to understand what we were studying for, we were researching, right? And then she's like, okay, now I want you guys to present it, to work on your like presentation skills. And again, I was a dancer, so I was just like, you know, like, I'm not really feeling this. So she's like, okay, well, do you want a 0? And I was just like, dude, does it mean I have to present? She's like, no, if you want a 0, then you don't present. Then I was just like, okay, what was the point of this, or whatever? She's like, to understand your topic. And I was like, oh, then I did it. So my knowledge is more than the 0. So I took the 0. She's like, okay, whatever. But legit, school has been like that for me for a long time. So I was just like, I was thinking about it. And then I thought about dance. And I was like, man, instead of being so angry with my teachers and being like angry with myself, like, why can't I just like shut up and just present and be a good grade and get honor rolls and stuff? And then I was just like, dude, there is no school for hip hop dance, you know? So I was like, I could be researching like where Tupac came from, or things like the culture, or the things that are so important to the hip hop dance that no one understands around here. Mm-hmm. I was like, I could be spending my time like doing better things. So I remember being like, that's it. I have to quit. Like, I have to make, like, I get it what my parents are trying to do. They're trying to make me go to school so I can make money and fund these things. But I was just like, but I could go work at McDonald's and fund these things, you know? So I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna say it. So I'm like over here, like, Mom. I remember it too because we were at like actually. Okay, no, it was in Dover actually. So this place called Saigon Tokyo where they have like really bomb pho. Check that out. Not sponsored by them. Y'all, somebody needs to sponsor us. Just say. No kidding. But anyways, I remember sitting there and being like, Mom, I don't want to go to school anymore. And she was like, I was like so ready for like the baseball bat to the face. I'm just like ready. I'm like right here. And she goes, okay. When you get bored with dance, like obviously in her like broken English, she says when you get bored of dance, go back to school. I legit was like, oh my god. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I was like a little bit more inspired, right? Because I was like, oh my god, my mom didn't like yell at me. Then when I told my dad, oh my god, on the phone, because he didn't, again, I didn't get to be like, he just literally ripped me apart. Yeah. I remember him being like, that's stupid. Yeah. He was saying I was stupid, and he was saying like, I'm not gonna make any money, blah blah blah. Why would you do that? And I remember that crushed me. So I was like, damn, I don't even know what to do now, right? So I still had that guilt, but instead of taking that guilt and being like, dang, I'm sad, I was just like, I can prove it to him. So I kept grinding, and it was ups and downs. Like I thought I was gonna, dance professionally with these guys, and then that didn't happen because like a crewmate or something, and then it turned all back around to back home, and I emailed every studio. I was like, hey, like, can I teach? And I feel like this kid that came from like the sticks of New Hampshire, like recycle bin, and then everyone's like, what do you got hip hop experience? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, like, true. Like that's what I'm like, true. Yeah. And then, so no one emailed me. Actually, one studio, shout out that studio. I won't really say the name, but they emailed me and they said, hey, like we have a hip hop teacher, but we would possibly hook you up with a summer gig. I'm like, summer gig? I'm talking like, I'm ready for the big gig. That's what I was saying in my head. Yeah. And then I choreographed for a little flash mob for a wedding, and that client gave me a postcard, and it was my business partners, Lisa and Shayla's postcard. It said Ellie Beatz. Now Ellie Beatz at the time was like, they had like a girl like doing their cute little like thing behind it, and I'm just like, it's like grand opening this time. I'm like, that's it. I looked it up. It was one studio room. I was like, that's it. I was like, oh, they won't. I was like, well, nobody else emailed me, so I emailed Ellie Beatz, and they were just like, yo, yeah, come through, whatever. And whatever, I met after meeting them, and then became really close to them, and eventually they pulled me in. I was like, holy crap, like this is it. So I told my parents of what happened. Ever since the moment I became an owner, my dad forgot about everything he said to me, because now I'm making money through it. So I kind of played the system and showing him, Dad, you can still make money doing what you love to do. You just have to do it at a different pace than everyone. When he saw that, now he doesn't call me about school anymore, and he just asks, like, how's the business going? Now he's excited and like supportive. And it's not like he's super supportive where he's just like, oh, how did the kids do? Whatever. But he's still more supportive than he was. So that being said, it goes back to what I said earlier about the language. How was I going to tell my father, right, that wasn't, like, typical society wasn't happiness. I had to teach him through the financial state. So it was just like now it's coming together. And granted, like he's still stubborn, blah, blah, blah. We have a better relationship for sure. But again, like society has, it means well, right? Or the intention was well. But the problem is you can't use the word love in one sentence forever, you know? So that's my biggest thing. about this whole like.
Well, I think what you said is like just like your story. I just want to kind of like pull out the lessons from that. Is that oftentimes, I mean, I love my family, I love all the families out there, but I've heard it, and I just find it to be truth. Is that oftentimes your family is, as much as they love you, is the one holding you back the most. Because they have such a emotional hook into you as a human being.
Right.
And oftentimes as children of our parents, like, we want to make them proud, right? Or that we want them to love us and do stuff to like kind of please them. But once you break out and become this individual human that loves yourself, what you did in that moment is you chose yourself.
Right. And
you chose to believe your own reality. Because when you talk about the end game, your end game was like, this is not my vibe. This doesn't align with who I am, but this does. And I'm going to face my fear and take a risk on that.
Right.
And even though you said your father crushed you, it's like, we have a choice as human beings. Like, you're on this planet to learn how to love yourself first and to learn how to be in alignment with yourself and follow what makes you feel good, what makes you happy. So you have a projection of your inner reality into this world. Every single other 8 billion of us have a projection of their own reality. So like for your father, see, you believe that like, yo, I can play the system and I can create money doing what I love. For your father, I mean, I don't know, but just based on what you're saying, it's like he ties into this like, oh no, I got to do the 9 to 5 or like work your way up and you get the benefits and do this, and that's life.
Right.
Whereas I feel like this is like the new paradigm shift of like the age of the entrepreneur. Like, no, like I can do what I love and make money doing it. You know what I mean? And I think that's like, you have a choice always. Like, what is your belief system? And that's where like boundaries need to be created. And like, you kind of got to protect yourself, because it's like, cool, man, like that's your reality, but this is mine, and I'm going to like make it happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important lesson for people to understand, is like, you have to have such a strong belief in yourself. Like, you're not always going to get validation to go chase your dreams. And you're going to get a lot of oftentimes you're going to get a lot of resistance, and it's just a reflection of probably your own inner resistance to that as well.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. I was like, a huge thing too, to piggyback off that, like, to love yourself first does not mean you don't love everyone else. Like, you, like, so this cool thing that I've been working on with my mentor is we're listening to the Course in Miracles, and they're saying, like, I mean, they use the word God, but I like to use the word love, right? Love is all, love is one, right? Or whatever the thing is, but that's it, you know? Like, you have to, it's not like you're trying to be selfish. It's just, if you aren't in the right space to give, you're going to give, like, you're going to have good intentions with poor execution, you know? If you have an insecurity of, like, oh, like, not a lot of people give me praise, and then you give someone something, and then you get mad that they don't say thank you to you because you expected the praise, right? That could be like, I mean, this is just a small example, but that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, what's that typical? Oh God, everybody says it. You can't fill an empty cup.
Oh yeah, you can't pour from an empty.
Yes, yes, yeah. And it's like, I was like, that's so true.
So true.
Yeah, that's like, yo, shout out Ed Sheeran real quick. Ed Sheeran has this dope song that's like, dang, it's about like literally loving yourself first. It's not you can go, not that song. It's literally on his most recent album. Check it out. It's super cool. He talks about like you everybody puts themselves on the shelf or something like that. We look to other things, but it's like you have to focus on yourself before you love someone else. And I was like, dang, like, bro, you should be like Bible school or something, you know? But it's just like so true, you know, like, I think, and again, I'm not saying the people that aren't 100% loving themselves don't help. I'm just saying be aware, you know, be aware of that, because again, we don't want like bad intent or good intentions but bad execution. Like, make sure you kind of think about it. You're like, wow, am I really doing that because I love that guy unconditionally? And like, no, I actually just want like followers, so I'm gonna chill.
Well, if you love yourself, like if you're taking care of yourself first, then you can give your best to other people as well. And I think something else I always find this important to like touch upon, especially your story is like a perfect example, is Rhea always talks about this idea of like your zone of genius and kind of like stepping into like your genius being like like you in school, that wasn't your genius. That wasn't where you were supposed to be. Teaching dance is your zone of genius. That's where you're supposed to be. So you being in school is essentially taking up somebody else's spot. There's somebody else who wants to be there, and that's where they're supposed to be.
Wow.
But you kind of leaving that spot and stepping into your genius. This is totally Raya's words. I'm totally taking that from her. So, but she's fantastic, and I love when she explains this. But I just think it's such a beautiful concept of you being so like aware that you are in the wrong spot for you, leaving that spot to do what you're supposed to do to free up that space, and in turn, like you're having such an impact on the kids that you teach, and you wouldn't be able to do that if you were still
in that school,
in that spot.
Yeah,
well, I think the other thing, like piggyback off of what you're saying, is like when you step into your genius, Rhea's words, like you're now giving the people around you permission to do the same. So I think something that's beautiful about, I'm just going to give you a shout out because I love what you're doing. It's just like this super authentic vibe in your business, in your Instagram, of just like, hey, like I'm Michaela and like I'm a great photographer, but like I have this cool story about being in football and nauseous and Snickers and cool stuff, but like just real stuff. And what you're doing, and like it's a lot of what I do with like the mental illness. Like, yo, I talk about it. You now, if you're around me, have permission and safe space to talk about it. Marianne Williamson quote: "Adequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Most of us are afraid to step into our full power and light, because with that also oftentimes comes like people can either rise up with you or they're going to try and rip you off that.
Well, a lot of times too, stepping into your own light means leaving like a place of familiarity, like leaving societal norms, and like when you step out of the normal trajectory of what life is quote unquote supposed to look like, it takes a time to recognize that, oh, this is my light and this is where I'm supposed to be, because it is comfortable in the quote unquote darkness sometimes if it's not the right space for you, but at least in everybody else's eyes you look like you're in the right place. And sometimes that's easier to live with.
Well, I'm wondering too for you, Anthony, is like when you took, because I know in like an experience of like stepping into your life, sometimes like you're so used to the darkness that's around you that like now you're in the light, so clearly that darkness is going to fall away, and it can be pretty lonely for not always, but like a time where you're like, man, like I'm chasing this, but not everyone's seeing it, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, we had that conversation. You know, sometimes you're like, man, you see these things, right? It's kind of like you see something good and you're like, wow, y'all can't see it. And then, but that's actually, so I realized it's not actually the light that's speaking. That's still the dark speaking. It's just masked, right? So when you speak in that term, you're like, why these people can't see this? And you kind of get frustrated. You're just like, oh, shoot. That's the little bit left of dark still in me speaking. So I think, it goes back to breaking down, you know? If you can understand that, you're just like, ooh, let me just, and when we're talking about it, like appreciate that moment, right? Instead of like being, why people can't see it. A little backstory. It was because we were talking about, I was telling Sean here about these folks. They were talking about their childhood stories, but they were also trying to like love other people. And I was just like, okay, you're talking about your stories, but you're still not loving other people. And then I was just like, dude, I'm getting so frustrated in my mind, I'm not even listening to their story. So then what I had to do was like take a deep breath and relax. So then I started listening to his story and I was like, that's hilarious. So I started laughing. Then I was telling him, I was like, dude, like I was in such like a weird, like, again, mass darkness, because I was just like, I don't want to hear your story because you're not good. You know, and you're just like, that's so hypocritical. So then I was just like, dude, I was supposed to enjoy the story and like uplift with them. Be like, guys, that was so like that was hilarious. Like that's what positivity does, you know, but in a different language. So I had to embrace it. So then when I embraced it, I enjoyed it a lot more, you know. So that again just goes back, like we need to be careful, because I mean darkness and light comes in different shapes and forms. You know?
Sure.
And that right there was just like, oh, bro.
Well, I mean, it sounds like, I think we talked a little bit about this too. It's just like accepting what is. I know for such a long period of my life, it's like you would hang out with someone, and then like you would inherently try and change them to fit your mold of what was okay,
Right.
instead of just like, you know, so like what might be in alignment for me is like, you know, I like to take time to myself. I meditate. I like athletics. I like being outside and hiking, and like I'd rather read on a Friday. You know what I mean? So like that's an alignment for me. But then like you're hanging out with someone who's like, oh yeah, like let's go to the bars and blah blah blah. Like, and you know what, dude, that's your reality. That's your life.
Right.
It doesn't make you a bad person. Like that's what you love. That's where your passion is. Great, but mine isn't. And it's just about seeing what is. Like that's who you are. That's fine. But if I like can have the confidence to like do the things that light me up, like I'll find those people.
Right.
You know. And they just exactly. I shouldn't even say fine. They just come into your life.
Right. So I guess like going back to the loneliness part, I don't think like I think that right there is just like the darkness talking a little bit, because if you truly find light, you're no longer lonely because you understand that everything is love and comes from love. So you're kind of like.
But I don't want to create this depiction that you don't feel that though, because it's not like you just snap your fingers and like I'm gonna chase my dream and now I'm the light. Like,
100%.
You're gonna like it's a human emotion, so like regardless of if you know or not, like okay, this is kind of still dark.
Right.
It's a human emotion, and like as much as you can have this cognitive like understanding of consciousness,
right.
You're still in a human vessel and vehicle that has human emotions that will arise, whether you might be aware of them
right.
and understand like, hey, this is kind of counterintuitive to what I'm trying to accomplish or like trying to feel, but you're a human.
Right.
So like stuff's gonna get triggered whether you want it to be or not.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying you'll forever be lonely. But what I'm saying that I guess if we were 100% light, because humans are not 100% light, for sure. And again, like think about the monks, right? Maybe they have hit 100%, but they don't feel lonely. You know, they're by themselves in the mountains. But for us, the ones that's still in society, if we still want to live in society, we can never be 100% light, because we have to understand the darkness, you know. So again, I agree that there will be times where we still feel lonely, but I don't think that's when you're light still. If that makes sense. Yeah. Because like again, like I think loneliness comes in, or loneliness, light, dark, whatever. It all comes in percentages. You know, 1% you still feel 1% light or 1% lonely. You know.
Well, you only get to feel the opposite end of the spectrum for as much as like. So, for example, if you're not willing to dive deeper into your darkness, then you're not going to experience deeper levels of joy.
Right.
And that's how it works. Like you only get to experience what you're willing to allow.
Yeah.
You know? And there's always more deeper you can go, but obviously, like, you know, there's comfort zones and there's all kinds of life challenges that take away from that. But
yeah, I think for me, if I were ever the loneliness that I would ever feel is, or if I still feel, I guess, is when I want to share something. You know, like, oh my gosh, I itch to share. And why do I itch to share? I think it's because I love so many people so much that like when I am by myself, I feel stagnant. You know? So then I'm like, oh, I don't get to share that. So there's my like loneliness.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So this idea of like being an introvert and an extrovert help or an extrovert, and like I've recently been thinking about this. So it's like as an introvert, you're kind of person who like refuels themselves when you take time alone. And as an extrovert, you kind of are refueling yourself with like the energy and attention from being, not necessarily attention, but the energy of like being around other people.
Yeah.
How do you like refuel yourself? How would you?
Oh, it definitely varies.
Yeah.
great question.
Yeah, for me, like there's some days where I'm just like, oh, I need people, and then whatever, go talk to people or go to an event or something, and I feel energized. But I guess I didn't think that, to be honest.
Because I feel like you are like whenever you walk into the room, like you're very like you're a high like energy, like
Person,
vibrant energy.
Yeah, but sometimes like when there's too much people, I'm like, man, I gotta go home and just draw. or something.
Oh, so that sounds. So you know what's interesting about this, Michaela? Because I've thought about this very much in my past, but it almost just seems like another like egoic like structure. Like we're looking to identify a way we operate. So it's just putting like yourself in this like echo chamber where like I know personally for myself, my like go-to is to be introverted, to like recharge. Like I'm like, get away humans, I'm going up in my room, I'm gonna like meditate, journal, rest, relax, listen to music, and then come back on fire. But there's also times where I go into a room and just like it's super good high vibes. Like perfect example when I hang out with Miles and Rhea and you, it's like it like skyrockets me. I feel like I pick this apartment up and throw it 9 miles. Like literally, I'm like, wow, you know.
But it's like you need that time on your own to be fueled enough for those.
This is true, but I mean,
situations.
But I just think, but there's sometimes where I'm not like super fueled, and like then I go there and I'm like, well, what are you talking about? I'm ready to go. Like I think it's like a dynamic of both. Like you may have one that you predominantly choose, and for me, it's like I'm like you. I'm like this is just too much. Like I'm going home to recharge.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's also but again, if that goes back to like who do you surround yourself with? I like to surround myself with people that light me up. And they're like, I'm ready to like, I'm like so excited when I talk to them. And I feel like what's cool about my existence in this life is like I've been able to like feel that now. And like you meet people and you can either feel is it this like, are they putting me up through the roof or is this like a heavy like, ooh, you know? And I think that's cool too.
For sure.
Yeah, that makes sense too though, because like I mean, what does everyone say? I mean, I'm just pulling all the old quotes, but life is balance, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you don't know one without the other.
Right. So that makes sense of like, I mean, us specifically, we're both like sometimes like, oh, too much, we need less. But then when you're alone too much, you're just like, I need to get out. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
so how about when you're teaching? How about when you're teaching kids?
Oh, there were definitely some ups and downs, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think what gets me through it for sure is I ignore the fact that I kind of ignore the fact of how I feel and remember like the purpose. And that's what like always drives me. Like I remember I was with my sister and I was exhausted. I think it's because I went to go see like the sunset or something like that. It was like 4 a.m. So I was like really tired. And I remember being like, oh my God, I have low energy. And I was like, dude, like, you gotta stop. Like, look, that child is adorable. He's gonna have a great life. You know, I'm just like, you're right. So it's kind of like I was so focused on that. I guess I pulled energy from the meaning of it, I guess. So then it was no longer about like people or whatever. It was just like, okay, push the purpose. But then sometimes even the kids come in with low energy. Then you're just like, you just feel you're getting pelted on the ground with baseball bats.
Yeah.
And then those moments, again, you just gotta be like, how, it's kind of like, okay, you have this candle and you're entering a dark room. You could either blow the candle or frickin' stick it up in the air and see everything. So that is the moment where you're like, it's like so dark. You know when like, this is like so nerdy, but going back. You know, you remember Game Boy Advance is? Yeah. You know that time, or Game Boy Colors?
I totally nodded and I have no idea.
I do.
I was like,
Yeah.
Shout out Game Boy Colors, throw some Game Boy emojis up there. Thanks, guys. So Game Boy, it didn't come with a light. Remember, you had to buy that light. And I remember I wanted to play this game so bad. Instead of like not being able to play, I would remember like being so close to the window and letting my dad, whatever, we're driving home, pass by these lights to make sure I can still see it. So it was no longer about seeing the game, it was making sure I played the game, right? Yeah. So again, that's kind of the same idea as these children. Like I'm getting pelted with these darkness, but I'm like, come on, the point of today is to freaking save the world. Because for my little baby, that's what all it is. They're like, I don't necessarily be like, okay guys, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? It's more like, all right, listen, guys, we need to help the world and pick up these boulders, and they're all like, but that's where it comes from. Dance comes from emotions, and it can do that, right? So literally, we're just playing games.
Yeah.
But the moral of the story is, after like these kids that have no energy, somehow just picking up that light and holding it as best as you can, or making sure your Game Boy is close to the window, it won't matter, because eventually that light's gonna outshine that.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a day where those kids want to leave and they're crying. But then again, they either go home and their parents come out and grab them, or you sit with them and you say the same thing. And now it's taking the light and going to them on a personal level. So it's making sure you don't let the little light you have at the time disappear. So it's like holding it on.
That's amazing. Well, I mean, I think it just becomes down to that, like, it's not about you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and that comes back to, you talked a lot about this the other day, like the purpose. And like whatever, and you keep saying that word, but it's like, you talked too about like the purpose never changes, but the way you kind of like present it to different age groups is constantly changing. And that's kind of made you more relatable to different audiences.
Right. Yeah, and
I think totally this. Taylor.
No,
Taylor, right over your question.
No,
No,
that
was
was
great.
That's actually so true. Because like, again, like, I think because I understand, and again, like, I could be 100% guys, right? You know, like, maybe I don't know the purpose of life, but all I know for me at this very moment in time, in 2019, February 8th,
2nd, 3rd, 4th.
Gotcha.
4th.
Where am I? No, I'm kidding.
Help.
Help. But all I know is
Yelling.
that is my purpose, you know, right now, is love, unconditionally. Because, like, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not doing it so the kid could be like, great job, Mr. Anthony. You're a great teacher. You know, I want him to go to the other schools and be like, yo, you know what? You're dope. Stop punching other kids. Like, let's be friends, you know? Yeah. Sidetrack. That reminds me. So I have this kid on Fridays, and I asked him what the purpose of life is. I don't know, maybe I've said it before in class, but he goes, love. And I'm like,
aww.
Just like, start crying.
I literally like, so sorry, bro.
I
keep saying that. Awesome. I was like, don't you forget it. Oh, and that's what I always say. I call him Cap because he was always wearing Captain America shirt.
Oh my
like,
god.
keep going, Cap.
Keep going.
It's so funny. I gotta record it and send it to y'all.
Oh my gosh, please.
It's like, what's the meaning?
We'll post that.
Love. Love. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and I think it's huge. And again, like, tolerance is a huge, or how much you can tolerate, I guess. You know, everyone's different. And I'm not saying just because you fall one day, you're a terrible person or you don't care about your purpose. It's just that's not your strong suit, you know. You could either, like, keep getting pelted by those baseball bats and keep, like, feeling the pain, or you could literally grab the baseball bat and let it hurt you for a second, but stop it, you know.
That reminds me. We talked about something the other day that I, like, carried with me after our conversation at the coffee shop. And I even wrote a piece about it, but it was like, what was it? Finding a solution, not just like the way that you use your energy. And it's like you can use your energy and be like bummed out or like terrified, or like say it's money and like you're afraid that you are running out of money. Like you can use your energy and be worried and scared and fearful of that, or you can use that energy and instead of using it towards fear and terror, you can put that energy into solving a problem.
So yeah. And I think that's so huge. Yeah, like my mentor, he's obsessed with saying this. He said, we live in the right and wrong world. You know, we're figuring out the right and wrong. Yeah. But what's the solution? That's what he always says. Or he says, go to the love world, which is the solution, right? Like, you could easily figure out where the problem, or maybe not easily, but you could take the time to figure out where the problem's coming from, or you could figure out how to solve it. And I think we were talking about children, maybe. We were saying how, like, parents are being like, no, you punched my kid. Like, heck no. Like, lawsuits. Shut this school down, you know? And then it's just like, no, it's not about shutting the school down. It's about teaching that kid to solve that math problem. You know, we could give him a calculator to do addition for the rest of his life, but then one day the calculator breaks. He's going to be like, 1 + 1, funny man, right? You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, if we teach them, okay, 1 over 1, and then this was 2, you know, count these. Then, when that time comes, they'll understand how to solve this without us, you know? And again, I think everyone's so focused on the problem. So they want to get the instant gratification, so they try to find a way to cut it instantly. That's never going to work. Never.
Well, I mean, it's just like I think if you can get into this mindset, and I think this taps into the law of attraction, is like everything in this life, they only last an hour.
Oh, is that why?
Everything in this life is happening for you.
Okay.
Every single event, whether you perceive it as good or bad or ugly or anything in between, it doesn't really matter. Because, for example, like I remember when I was talking about having a flat tire. Is that an ideal situation at 8 o'clock at night when it's pitch black after you just went fishing? Absolutely not. But I can sit there and cry about it or complain or do whatever. And it's like, or I could shut up, get the manual, find out where all the tools are, and just start doing it. Because at the end of the day, you got to do it. And I think sometimes until you're put in that situation where, like, really no one's coming to save you, you've got to figure it out.
Right.
And I mean, I think a lot of us have had, our parents help us, like there's codependency out there. Like we rely on something else. And we were talking about this before the podcast. You're not challenged. Like life is just kind of, well, if I screw up, like it's just going to all be the same tomorrow. So why be creative? Until you're faced with that challenge of like, oh shit, like no one's coming to save me. Like I'm out in the middle of the woods and I don't have a phone. Like I got to figure this out. Like that's where those are the moments where like you find out who you are and like your character is built and like strength is built. And I don't think enough of us have those experiences like directly. Usually the universe will make that happen for you. But I think as you grow as a human being, you're gonna feel this like pressure. Like for you in school, you're like, you feel like this grinding, right? You're like, dude, like I'm not vibing with this lady. Like I'm not vibing with this whole thing. Like dance is my thing. And you're given a choice. Like, are you going to sit there and continue to feel like this, like, I don't know what you were feeling inside, but like feel this uncomfortableness? Or are you going to like step past that fear into what you truly want?
Right.
And we're always given those choices. Like we're always given those choices.
I think also though, it's not, I think that can be taken a couple different ways, and one might be confusing because I think just because you're feeling like tension or struggle in your life doesn't always necessarily mean that you need to run in the opposite direction.
Well, I agree.
It's also, it's like how, well, yeah, because I don't want to like portray this like idea that like we're saying just because you're struggling with something or school feels hard or like you don't vibe with a teacher doesn't mean you just like ditch school and decide that you want to be a astronaut. Like I don't, or whatever, whatever it is. Like it's,
no,
you still need to, in those situations, like really be thoughtful of how you are working through tough situations.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Because like,
and I'm not saying that's what you did. I'm not saying you were like, oh, this is hard. Like I'm just gonna like peace out and dance. Like,
right.
I think there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
We gotta look at the gray area.
Look at the options.
Yeah,
right.
Well, yeah, not just black or white, like runners say.
Right.
There are some great. Thank you. Yeah, that is important. Don't just runners say.
Yeah.
I've done that a lot.
Yeah, I don't think it's. Yeah, you're right. It's not. I mean, I just heard Gary Vee in my head, but basically he's very binary.
Yeah.
He's very like left or right.
Yeah.
Yes or no. He's like you or we're homies. But I think there's there's so many different languages. There's another way of saying no. Like I could have said no to the lady, like, look, women, like, can you just teach me how to love life rather than hate school? I could have had a normal conversation and figured that out. And maybe she could have made a hip hop school or something, But
it's also like we have these experiences for a reason, and like everybody's going to have their own moment of realization, for lack of better terminology.
Yeah.
Like, are you gonna be a robot and listen to her and your parents and society, or are you gonna do what your heart's telling you to do?
Telling you, right?
You know what I mean? It's. I don't want to make it that simple, but kind of it is really. Like, there's a lot of fear and human emotion that comes with, because you had to be like, you're ready to take a bath. I mean, obviously an analogy, not like a real bath, but from your parents, and then like your dad, like really just kind of like sounded like really hate you hard. But again, it's like that's the whole point of Wild Hearts, right? Like you're gonna face opposition and following your heart.
And we all have our own story.
You're absolutely going to. Like, this isn't rainbows and Candyland and ponies. Like, following your heart is really difficult. And it's going to make you face every single fear you've ever had. But what's on the other side is everything you've ever wanted. I keep saying this. Like, I posted this the other day, but like, really, it's like you face that fear. Like, you were like, oh, and then you're like, oh.
It wasn't.
There's like relief. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I mean, you know, and then, well, you know what I mean? So, like, that's it. Like, there's this quote, like, the courageous adventurer will find that, like, this fear bully, like, he pulls the beard off, kind of like the Wizard of the Oz, right? There's like this big, like this big scary dude, and then it's like all of a sudden the curtains get pulled back, and you're like, what the hell is this, dude? You know, I think like oftentimes that's what fear is. Like, some fear is real, like there's a tiger, that's legit, but it's kind of just that thing of like what's behind the curtain. If you can look beyond the veil of fear, it's usually not as bad.
Right.
I think most people on this earth have good intentions for the most part.
Yes.
Like, even think of your dad, for example. It's like he didn't want you to stay in school because he like hated you and didn't want you to like, he wanted you to stay in school for good.
Yeah,
like
love.
there's
Love.
Yeah, exactly. It all comes right back to love. Bringing it full circle.
Whoa.
Bringing it full circle.
Perfect.
Yeah,
so can we talk about, because we are running out of time, but I think
Yeah.
what's really important is like, you know, so we're just talking about fear and busting through that, and what's on the other side of that is confidence, right? So can we talk a little bit about this guy and your little shift? Little shifts?
So super
I
funny.
love a good story.
Wow, everyone just got so excited. They're like, hi.
This right here.
We were getting like too cozy.
Hold on, get this out of the way. Get it in there. Get it in there like
Check
somewhere.
this out. This is a carnelian crystal. You know what I'm saying? Just 2 pieces. You know what I'm saying? You cool? Check it out. All right. But here's the story about this guy. So, it had a. Okay, should I tell it? Like,
Just tell it.
You can
Crazy
tell
shit.
it, but like, yeah,
Don't
try
be
it.
afraid of, like a weirdo, man.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
we're going straight off the bat. This
Okay,
is crazy. This
Go
is
for
nuts, guys. So I didn't believe in any like. Okay, let me backtrack.
Crystal magic.
Yeah, crystal magic. So my friend Georgia, shout out Georgia. Woo!
Yeah, Jordan.
She gave me a necklace for Christmas, and it had a stone called the tiger eye in it. And I was like, oh, this is super dope. But when she gave it to me, she said to me, hey, this is, you can actually learn the crystal's name. I'm like, what the frick? I'm over here like, that?
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, you know, typical, right? But I was open to it because she's my friend. So I was like, Anthony, listen, like, chill out. So I listened to her, and she said, you can actually learn a name to it. And she said, you meditate with your crystal, and then whatever, you close your eyes, you meditate, and then all of a sudden the crystal heat up, and you're supposed to picture that crystal light up, and you're supposed to picture yourself going in. But she climbed a bunch of stairs or whatever, got to the top of the stairs, then asked what confidence in her voice.
Just keep on.
She wanted confidence in her voice, and then she asked the name of it and said voice, right? Now, what ended up happening for me is I was meditating, just classic, just regular, listening to my space, closing my voice, like really clearing the mind. And for some reason, something told me, "Hey, grab the rock that she." Oh, let me backtrack. I lost the tiger eye, and I've been carrying this carnelian stone for a while as like it's kind of like a fidget spinner, but like less like fidget.
Yeah.
So I'm always like rubbing it, whatever, just to be patient, and just to be present. Mm-hmm. Broke it, and I lost the tiger eye, and I was like, holy crap! The other half fits perfectly in it. So I put the other half of the rock into my necklace, and I held the other one. And I was like, oh, this is dope. So now I'm carrying it. Anyways, going back, so I was meditating, and for some reason, my mind was just like, yo, grab the rock. I was like, all right, why not? So I grabbed the rock, holding it in my hand, just doing meditation again. It was just like nice and soothing. All of a sudden, I felt this thing heat up, and I was like, bro, that's kind of creepy. So I had to stop for a second. I'm just like, I don't believe in this stuff. Like, there's no, like this is reality. That's what I kept saying to myself. So the rock heat up. It was like, almost like hot coal status, but not where it hurt. It was just super warm. So then I was like, relax, Anthony, you're at home, you know, accept accept at your home. You're safe, right? And I kept saying the word accept. So I'm like accepting it, right? And then all of a sudden I was just like, oh, why not picture it light up? You know, why not? We're on this anyway. So I picture it light up, picture it in its liquid form or whatever. And I was like, okay, picture yourself going in. So I literally felt my body just do this. And I had to stop because I was like, what in the world? I'm like, am I tipping over? I'm like, no. And I'm over here like still freaking out. And this goes back, this reminds me of the fear thing. And I was just like so scared. I was like, how the hell am I scared? I'm in my house, you know, like everything's nice and comfortable. I'm in my nice pajama shorts, like relaxed. So I'm like, accept. So I do it again. And finally, I felt like it felt like I just a bunch of, you know, ever seen those, like, have you guys ever seen That's So Raven?
Oh, yeah.
You know that part where she has a vision and he's like, shh, and like, she goes into like these like portals?
It's the future.
Yes! If y'all don't see that, shout out That's So Raven. Also not sponsored.
Disney Channel, baby.
This is so ridiculous.
But anyways.
That's just so rich.
Wait, the Disney Channel? Baby?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Anthony and this is Disney Channel. Mine definitely looked like
This is the Wild Hearts channel.
yes. Hi, this is Wild Hearts and I'm Anthony.
Yes. Oh my god.
It's a Harry Potter one.
Anyways,
okay.
so yo, happy Monday, guys. If you don't love lunch,
That's so rich.
get your bread up.
Yeah, like,
Oh my gosh.
we're
Okay.
having a tough day. That's
Yeah.
Welcome.
What was I?
Okay, so.
Oh, right. So I felt like I was going through That's So Raven kind of vision. So, you know, when you look at the light and then you close your eyes and you see like the light floating?
Yeah.
I saw like little flames. And I'm over here like, what is going on? So I open my eyes again. I'm like, okay, accept the light. Then I crap you not. Have I sworn this already?
Yeah, you already said
Yeah.
fuck.
Oh, damn.
You're good.
Shoot.
Yeah, okay.
We're good.
Anyways, so I was like, whatever. I heard a voice go, what do you want? I was like, what? So I stopped meditating, and I'm literally like, just like freaking out, like, relax. Like, what was that?
Yeah.
I was like, dude, nobody's in here. You're in your house. Relax. So I close your eyes again, and I hear it again. And I go, I'm like, now I say to the voice, I go, is this real or is this not? And then the voice goes, you believe whatever you want to believe. I was like, what the hell? I was like, relax, like, be like, accept it, whatever, go with it, see where this goes.
Yeah.
So it asked me again, and so at the time, I have issues with confidence on the physical side, right? I don't look like Zac Efron, and I'm like mad at myself for it. Like, you can't, why are you mad at yourself for it? So I was just like, I want to feel confident in my own skin, and I want to walk around and be like the Zac Efron of my own. So that's what I said to it. Then all of a sudden the heat from the stone that was already around me, by the way, went into my body, and it felt like the heat was going through my body, and all of a sudden I opened my eyes, because again, that freaked me out a little bit, and I was sitting like with a straight back, and I was like, this is creepy.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not one to do like crazy stuff like that. Like, I guess the unrealistic thing would be like chase dreams, but I've never been like, oh, I hear voices in my head or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I was just like accepting. I was just like, why am I freaking out anyways? Like, what? So what if it challenged society or reality? So anyways, so I opened my eyes and I was like, holy crap, what am I doing up here? Like, basically, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my gosh, you forgot to ask his name, because I was about to stop because it was creepy. So I closed my eyes, and I'm like, okay, what's your name? And then the voice goes, Leon. And I'm like, I'm done for the day. I'm done meditating. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
So now I'm lying in my bed, and all of a sudden I have this quote on my wall. It says, I will become a millionaire doing what I love to do and dancing. Then all of a sudden, this was me just having a conversation in my head. I go, dude, it's not I will. You're totally wrong. It's I am. I will it'll happen eventually, but I am is the present. I was like, holy crap, I gotta change it. So I had this little book. So now I carry this little book wherever I go, actually. So now,
Got it. Here we go.
Heck yeah.
in this book, I write, I am a millionaire doing what I love to do and dancing over and over again on this page.
Do you only buy jackets that have like pockets and stuff?
Well, I love this
Look
one
at these, these are
doesn't, so
fire.
I had to like. It's low-key, makes you feel like James Bond. Like,
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't it? Yeah, look at that.
oh, it's upside down.
I
Anyways,
like that.
but yeah, so this was trying to condition my subconscious, and it's just over and over again whenever I remembered to write it down. So then I was like, oh wow, I didn't even realize that was a step to confidence. So obviously I was obsessed with like, okay, where did the voice come from, blah, blah, blah. I looked it up and I was just like, man, this is crazy. And one article stood out to me. It said, you're not supposed to second guess yourself on whose voice it was. It's remember the purpose of why you asked it. And I was like, holy crap, because I'm so obsessed to be like, is this real? Is this fake? I forgot why I asked the stone said to this, what I said to the stone. I was like, I need to be confident. So I ended up going to press room, and I was dancing or whatever, and I saw someone that was nice and cute, and I was like, there's no way we're gonna like talk to that person. And already negative, but that was me in my bad habits. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna dance, right? I'm dancing, all of a sudden they come over, and I'm like, hello. It's like dance a little more. So we're dancing. And then all of a sudden I'm like, ask her name. So I asked her name and I was like, okay. So I asked her name and I was like, oh wow, this is going great. And we're still dancing. They leave. I was just like, dude, you did it again. You just let it slide. Like, and then didn't do anything. I was like, damn, whatever. Like, that's just typical me. Like string bean Bounphakom. Like, come on, like seriously. That's my last name, by the way. And then they came back, and they're just like, yeah, not string bean. And then they come back, and they're just like, yo, like, we were in the bathroom. And I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, my. So, like, now do something. So I was just, oh, yeah, like, what's your Instagram? And I did it, and it turns out, like, whatever, in a relationship. But I was just like, that's not the purpose of it. The purpose was, holy crap. Like, I finally pushed myself to do something I was uncomfortable with. The confidence was starting to happen. And I was just like, it wasn't about the stone. It wasn't about the girl. It was about me actually feeling confident. And then I was just like, holy crap. It was my purpose. It's like I needed to love myself, and this was the next step, the block that kept covering love, right? So I had to remove the physical Zac Efron aspects, and that was out the door. And I'm not saying it's 100% out the door, because everything comes in percentage, whether it's forgiveness or this. I was like, dang, I know for sure it's less than 50% now, because like I'm confident enough to walk around and be like, today's a great day, mate, you know?
Sure, yeah.
So the moral of the story is all these revelations and miracles and or whatever and these underdog stories, we remember the purpose, remember of why these things exist, or remember why you live your everyday life, right? And again, I truly think that's love. If you find something else, hit me up, because I would love to know, but I think it's love.
Well, I mean, I think it's so cool.
Such a beautiful, like, full circle.
Yeah. Well, it just talks about the shift is like on your end game.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing outside of yourself is going to bring you to these. I mean, obviously, like you had the experience of the rock, but like you said, after you experienced that, none of that mattered. The shift happened inside of you, and then because it happened inside of you, you're now radiating that energy out to the universe. And whether people are picking it up consciously or not, like those girls are like, oh yeah, it's like, this is not string bean, this is like Zac Efron, Anthony. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like pick up on that confidence, man, and like that's it for anything. Trying to create a business, you know, like what is your language around that? What is your belief system? Like, is it
mission statement?
Like you said, I will, or am I? I am. You know, and it's like all of it is this is, I know you like this. The process of becoming is I'm becoming everything you thought you were.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we are this love and light that you speak of, this Christ consciousness, and it's just about removing all the shit in the
Digging back down to it.
Yeah.
I think we're so caught up like fighting so many external battles, and many of them are societal, that we forget the purpose. We forget the pure and simple purpose of it all really does come back to love, and that is everybody's end game is life. I'm not sure I want to meet them, but I mean, if that person, I don't think there are many people out there like that who exist. So at the end of the day, we are all
love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Simply that. And we talked about this the other day. Like I shared this with you guys, how I've realized like the change in like my verbiage. Is that a word?
Yeah,
verbiage?
Yeah.
Verbiage.
It might be
And like
verbiage.
verbiage?
Yeah,
Verbiage. Less of, I mean, granted, it's still like I would never not like hang up the phone with my parents and not say like I love you. You know what I mean? There's like so much power in like I love you. You know, I'm like sharing that with people, but this like new verbiage of saying like I am love, you are love, like we are love, just like a oneness of it all. And I think we all strive for that at the end of the day, and that it really does come back to the
Hello, you guys.
I'm crying because I'm happy.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Oh, we're so sappy.
But that real quick, one of my favorite quotes is my mentor said this to me, but I had to make it mine. But he said, one day I remember it was at the second studio before I was the owner. He came up to me. He's like, "Oh, so is this your place, right?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, this is where I'm the first one here, last one to leave." And he goes, "Well, remember this: keep doing what you love, and the money will follow." And that stood out to me every single day. But then I realized it's not about money. It's do what you love, blank will follow. You can fill that with anything.
Yeah.
Like do what you love,
So
the
true.
purpose will follow.
Your people will follow.
Do what you love. You know, I don't know what else. Yeah. Home will follow. Yeah. Friends will follow. You know. So I was just like, do what you love, blank will follow. Boom.
I love that. Atom bomb.
Literally.
Bomb. Well, we are very much over our time.
Yes.
But
sorry.
Can you tell us what it means to have a wild heart?
Oh, the wild heart. I'm nervous because I think
no right or wrong
because I
answer.
said something. I messaged them this.
It doesn't have to be the same.
Just go
off the dome.
Pressure
Go off the
questions.
Did the MCs get okay? What a wild heart means to me is to be able to have a wild heart. To me, is the meaning of heart itself is so strong. You're willing to do whatever. So that makes you wild.
Yeah, mic drop. Carnelian drop.
Carnelian drop.
Woo!
Yeah.
So good.
Guys,
well, thank you so much, man. Thanks for coming on. That was great.
How could you guys live?
That was like
Tell the
super
people
philosophical.
where they can find you.
Yeah, find me on Instagram, Facebook.
Well, who are you on Instagram?
Yeah.
Good luck.
ZachEfron.com.
Yeah. Instagram, ant_BOUN, Boone, my last name. Find me on LA Beatz Dance Studio. I think it's LA_dance_studio on Instagram.
Can people like come in and
come learn some dance moves. Adult classes Monday nights and Tuesday nights at 7:15. Mondays are fundamentals, so you learn one move. On Tuesdays you learn a bunch of moves to like a song. You know what I'm saying? You know, and then, just like that. No, trust me, it's just like that. No, I'm kidding. Okay. And then Aimless Focus. Check those guys out and their stuff, which is
we
fun
didn't
people
even talk
too.
about that.
Yeah, Aimless_Focus. Wow, there's so much underscores.
Yeah.
But that's my videography crew. I do a lot of just hanging out right now. I don't really do filming as much as they like Mike and David. So check them out. But yeah, and my whole entire last name is Anthony Bounphakom, Bounphakhom.
And then, what's going on in the future?
Oh,
yeah.
I heard there's something pretty cool.
Yeah, but let's just say, mark your calendar for March 23rd.
Okay.
It's all about inspiration and love. There's going to be a huge video on that. You don't want to miss it. Let's just say, it involves this guy, this guy,
that guy.
Let's go.
and I mean she. Too.
I'm not invited.
That was so funny.
She's gonna come though.
Yeah, I'll be there.
But anyway,
All right.
We'll see you later.
Thank
Bye,
you guys
guys.
so much for being here.